The time for this build to shine has finally come if you're looking for a UVH5 Vex build that can melt bosses quickly while having survivability that is off the charts and the ability to mob easily, then this is your build. And best of all, it doesn't involve bleed or the crit knife. Mako's Buck here, and today let's go over the Vex Witch build. Kicking it off with our Vault Hunter, and we will be on Incarnate Vex. Vex comes with the Vault Hunter trait, Phase Covenant. Vex is attuned to the elemental type of her current gun, converting all action skill damage and melee damage into that type. This means if you're using a kinetic weapon, all your action skill damage and melee damage will be kinetic. If you're using a radiation weapon, then they will be radiation and so on. Green Tree Vex's action skill is Incarnate. Create a phase explosion dealing damage to nearby enemies and fully restoring health. While active, you can use Eldritch Blast and gain increased movement speed. Eldritch Blast is fired from your offhand, dealing damage to nearby enemies on impact. Dealing gun damage will reduce the cooldown of Eldritch Blast. This is a crucial part of this build. Now let's put some points into the green tree, starting with 5 points into Leeching Attunement. While Vex is attuned to Kinetic, she gains lifesteal and increased reload speed. Both our mobbing and bossing weapons are kinetic, so this is always going to be active. We are going 5 points into Fiendish Invigoration next. When you use a Repkit, gain 30% to both movement speed and fire rate for 10 seconds. Up next is 5 points into Material Components. Gain 35% increased kinetic damage and 20% increased kinetic status damage. This will buff both our action skill and gun damage. Moving down our tree with 5 points into Target Prescience, which grants our guns 15% crit chance on any part of enemies. Our augment is going to be Witchy Trigger Finger. Dealing damage with Eldritch Blast or Phase Explosion will fully refill ammo of Vex's current gun and grants a stack of Witchy Trigger Finger, increasing gun damage for a duration. Stacks of Witchy Trigger Finger persist even after Incarnate ends. This has a duration of 15 seconds, granting 15% gun damage per stack, stacking up to 3 times. To the left of Trigger Finger is going to be 5 points into Drink Full. Whenever you deal gun damage, gain a stack of Drink Full, increasing rate of fire. This stacks up to 50 times, granting a total of 30% extra fire rate at max stacks. To the right, we are going with Grave Vitality. On kill, gain increased max health and health regeneration. This is just really nice for survivability on top of our lifesteal. Which means 5 points into Essence Leech is up next. This grants Vex 10% lifesteal and doubles while our action skill is in use. And lastly, for the green tree is going to be Blood is Power. Gain bonus kinetic damage with guns based on current lifesteal when health is full. And since our health is quite literally almost going to be full, this is just a free damage buff. Main thing to note about the green tree is do not put on a capstone. It looks like you're supposed to equip HEARTPIERCER, but doing this will actually make it so the build does not work. And now that all of our points for our green tree are done, we have 11 points to put into the blue skill tree. With that said, we are going with 5 points into Cold Iron, which gives us 15% increased gun damage that is just active all of the time. And then we are going with our debuff, which is 5 points into Cursed Blade. Your melee attacks apply curse, making them take kinetic status effect damage anytime they take gun damage. And our one remaining point is going into Extra Cursed. Cursed damage deals increased damage when it's triggered by a critical hit. Now that our skill trees are set up, let's get into our specializations and firmware. Our 4 specialization passives are going to be CQC. Melee damage grants 30% increased fire rate for 8 seconds. Bullet Train, which allows us to hip fire while sprinting, grants gun damage the faster you move, and you also get 15% gun damage while walking. Riddle You This. Whenever you deal gun damage, you gain a stack of Riddle You This, increasing gun damage. Stacks are lost if a new stack has not been gained for a duration. Each stack of Riddle You This grants 1% gun damage per stack and stacks up to 50 times for a total of 50% extra gun damage at max stacks. And our last specialization passive is going to be the Best Defense. Gain increased damage dealt based on the fullness of your shield or health, whichever has the higher maximum capacity. This grants an extra 30% damage when at full. In order to unlock these passives, you will need to have 20 points into Survivor, 20 points into Brute, and 10 points into Runner. Our firmware is going to be the go-to best in slot for all weapon damage dealing builds, and that is going to be 3 Piece Deadeye for 30% to gun accuracy, 25% to gun critical hit damage, and every critical hit grants 15% critical damage per stack. This lasts for 10 seconds and can stack up to 5 times. Our 2-piece firmware is going to be high caliber for 25% projectile speed, which we don't really care about. The appeal of 2-piece high cal is that it grants 10% multiplicative gun damage, which is just huge. Now let's get into our gear and weapons, starting with our weapons as they synergize perfectly with our skill tree setup. Like I said earlier, we will be on kinetic damage weapons for both mobbing and bossing, and that weapon will be the Bod. Our bossing Bod is going to be the Aramid Bod with a CoV magazine and a secondary fire as Sniper Mode. Sniper Mode is crucial for bossing as we cannot have our rate of fire too fast or the ability to have a loop of constantly spamming Eldritch Blast and not having to ever reload will not work. Sniper Mode fires just slow enough to where it will melt a boss but not burn too much magazine in between firing our action skill. And with this setup, we know shooting Eldritch Blast fully refills our magazine. Our mobbing weapon is also going to be an Aramid Bod, but this one will be the same role but with SMG mode for a faster rate of fire and the best ammo economy, which is needed for mobbing. Your other 2 weapons are purely preference. Now let's get into our gear, starting with the 2 most important pieces, and that is going to be the Teen Witch Legendary Class Mod. When we are at max health, our lifesteal partially applies to shield, and when we are at max shields, our lifesteal will grant an overshield. This is another layer of massive survivability for this build. This mod always comes with a plus 10% to lifesteal, and mine has a 30% gun damage rolled on it as well. Mine also has a plus 5 to conjunction, which is just more free damage while at max shields. Mine also has a plus 2 to Grave Thirst, which is even more lifesteal on kill. If you are looking for copies of any of the rolls on this gear or weapons, you can join my Discord and get it from the Looking for Loot section. I will drop a join link to the Discord in the description of the video below. Moving on to our second important piece, and that is the Watts for Dinner Shield. Watts comes with Overshield Eater. When Energy Shield is active, enemies have a 12% chance to drop an Overshield when hit. When Overshield is active, you gain 25% shock damage to all sources of damage you deal. You're going to want your shield to roll with Amp. When Energy Shield is full, shots drain shields for an increase in gun damage. Mine also has Siphon on it, which grants us a 5% chance at an overshield per instance of damage dealt. Our enhancement is going to be a purple CoV enhancement. Now, mine has duct tape, which I feel like is pretty meh with this build since our guns are never really on the verge of overheating. I feel like Ventilator would be nuts here, but this is fine too. Your main thing is to have a triple weapon damage roll as Bod counts as all weapon types. Our Repkit is going to be Shiny Warpaint for a 30% movement speed and 30% increase to rate of fire on use that lasts for 15 seconds. You will also want this rolled with Enrage, which grants us a 30% increase to all damage dealt and a 15% increase to all damage taken for 15 seconds. Your ordnance does not matter. Obviously, the knife is the best in slot, but it is not needed. I purposely do not use it in any of these clips. Your bossing play loop for this build is going to be approach the boss, pop action skill, pop Repkit, melee the boss if it is a boss that can be meleeed, and then hold down your weapon's trigger while spamming Eldritch Blast. Dealing gun damage instantly brings back Eldritch Blast, and casting Eldritch Blast refills your magazine. Just a reminder that this entire video is timestamped if you feel like you missed something or want to jump around. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn those notifications on. See you next time.